Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we bring back the podcast right here at BusyWorksBeats.com. Today I'm going to reveal 6 key business models for your music production business. So this was provided by Kevin Box. Go follow him. I will provide this graphic and the other graphic up top in our Discord at discord.gg/BusyWorksBeats. So let me break this down for you guys to make it simple. The first model is called the McKinsey's 3 Horizons. The second model here is called the Smart Insights Framework. The third one here is called Porter's 5 Forces Analysis. TAM, SAM, and SOM is Total Addressable Market, Serviceable Addressable Market, and the Obtainable Market. The Serviceable Obtainable Market. And then we have Ohmae's 3 C's and the GE-McKinsey 9-box matrix. If you don't know McKinsey, they're consultation group that basically runs the world of business. So let's get into the first one here. McKinsey's 3 Horizons is pretty simple. This is probably the most accurate as far as running a real business. This is what you guys should think about. And there's a better book that goes into detail called Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson, if you guys want to go deeper with this concept. So it says, in the beginning of a business, the main objective is to just focus on your current products and services, aiming to maximize profits and stability. So what are some downfalls we music producers run into? Is we're using the business to replace a job. What is a job's purpose? Is to pay for your expenses for lifestyle purposes. Okay, a job's goal is to pay for the lifestyle expenses. And when people make a business, they're swapping out their job for the business job. Basically, they're creating a new job and they start eating all of the seeds that their business is creating. When you eat all the seeds, you have 0 return on investment. Okay, so you cannot eat all the seeds that your business grows online. And that's the biggest mistake, is because we're relying on the business so much. Nobody thinks of it as an investment vehicle. Okay, so basically it's saying focus on profits, meaning what do you keep? Okay, you can make $100 all day long. How much of that $100 do you guys keep? And this is the tricky part of business. We're all taught to get more, get more, get more. What if there is no more? Okay, what if there is no more? What if people stop spending money? What do you do from that point? You have to learn how to extract and keep. Okay, so there's 3 levels of business. There's getting the money, there's keeping the money, and then there's growing the money. These are 3 completely different expertises. Okay, and I can tell you, most people teach you to grind, hustle, and go harder in 10x to get more money. That's not always the solution. You can't print money, therefore you have to wait on somebody else to spend that money, which means if somebody else doesn't spend the money, you don't get the money. Okay, so you can't control how much is coming in if other people control the flow of that. Now, keeping the money is something we can control to a degree outside of legislation from Washington. Now, people try to keep money through real estate, through different tax strategies and different things. I'm not an expert. Then the third column here is growing your money. How do we invest the money? How do we invest the excess profits, the surplus, back into the business to take that dollar to make it 4? How do we take the $4, invest it back in, and make 16 until you reach the capacity? So everybody thinks the world is infinite. And here's the biggest lie you were taught, mainly in church. They say life is abundant and all this type of stuff. If you look up the definition and etymology for abundant, it means enough for what one asks. Enough for what one asks. Okay, it doesn't mean infinite. Abundant does not equal infinite. And that's one of the biggest lies that's taught to you guys in church, in business, and mindset stuff. And what's it called? The law of attraction stuff. They're just abundance. Everything in the universe is yours. That's not the true definition of abundance. Abundance says enough for what one asks. Okay, so it means that there's a capacity there. There's a limit there. Okay, so anyway, moving forward is a lot of mistakes beginner producers make in this first stage of business is, again, they're trying to eat the seeds. If we were having a farm, okay, and we start off with 10 seeds, we got seeds from our friend, we found seeds out in the wild, whatever. We worked at a farm and took some seeds as a payment. We go to our farm, our garden, we plant those 10 seeds. Those 10 seeds, let's say a couple of plants got eaten by bugs. Let's say a couple of plants rotted because we weren't taking care of it properly. So now we're down to 5 plants. So we take those 5 plants, and what's the first thing producers want to do? Eat the 5 plants. So if you eat the 5 plants, you have 0 seeds left over. Now, producers who don't know any better, they'll not only eat the 5 plants, but they'll go and eat plants from other people's businesses, AKA getting into debts and different things. Okay, and now you owe them seeds. So now you're with 0 seeds. You can't replant those seeds into the garden, and then you can't grow more food. So now you have to go work for somebody else, and you have to be on their system. So it's taking you back to what you're trying to escape. If you guys keep taking from, the seeds, I'll say, that you're supposed to reinvest back into the business. Now, not all the time are you supposed to reinvest into the business, but I don't want to bore you guys to tears. Sometimes you want to take your profits and just put it into the third step, which is growing your business or growing your capital base. But that's really advanced. Okay. So then we have the horizon 2, which is once your business starts to grow, it says focus on emerging opportunities. This involves developing new opportunities that have the potential to become future income streams. In other words, like in music production terms, that's talking about niches. Okay. So here's another mistake beginners make is they'll focus on this stage too early. So innovation is a key word that a lot of people talk about, but truly, if you look at what's called the innovation adoption curve up top here, being too early to the race can actually be a negative thing because there's not a big enough total addressable market. If you create the next, AR, VR, XR, whatever it's called, music production studio app that nobody has the Google, what's those things called? Apple Vision Pros. They don't have the technology to even get to that XR, AR, VR experience. I'm way above the curve. I'm way ahead of the crowd. And that's not a good thing. That means the total addressable market is small. And we're not going to be able to scale things up to sustain because there's not enough time. There's too much time involved to sustain that company without outside capital. I know I'm getting a little in the weeds, but again, that's a big lie that people are told is to innovate, and always be way ahead of the curve. I can tell you guys that sometimes you can focus on innovation, be too far ahead of the curve, and you don't have enough resources coming in to sustain the innovation. So you defeated the purpose. Horizon 2, again, is about niches. So I'll translate this in the music production world. If I were running a type beat channel, for example, and I always focused on the underground artist or the artist who's next up, I'm so ahead of the curve that the traffic isn't there for people to even search up these artists. I'm talking about artists that nobody even knows of yet. Like if you're constantly making underground artist type beats or this artist about to blow up type beats, it might be something that you think will be great because you're investing in the future of that traffic. But the problem is, by the time that keyword is relevant, you're going to have the recency bias of the content that comes out during the time of that person being popping. So let's just make an example. Let's say XXX before he became mainstream. Let's say I made an XXX type beat and I put it up on YouTube 5 years before he became popular. Now, nobody who knew about XXX is even looking up XXX beats because he's not popular enough to want to aspire to be. So now we only have 20 searches a month, 100 searches a month, 1,000 searches a month. Now I have to compete for this small amount of traffic. So by the time he becomes popular 5 years later, the revenue of the business is reliant on his popularity, and there was no revenue coming in because he wasn't popular. So by the time it becomes popular, even if you get a small portion of that, there's so much competition at that time that now nobody's going to, because of how social media is built for recency, okay, now we have to reinvent the wheel. We have to start back over again. So sometimes you guys are starting way too early with the niche stuff. And the same with trend channels. There's a lot of channels that cover current events and trends. And this is their problem. They cover it way too early. Trends don't last. You're supposed to build a sustainable product and service first, and then find trends to add an extra boost, like a 5% boost on your traffic or revenue. 5%. You're not looking at trends to be the 100%. Okay, so people who understand what I'm saying here. The third level here is future ideas. Again, if you innovate too early and too much, it's too foreign to people. It's not that the product's not good. It's not that it won't change the world. We saw what happened with Web3. It was the technology to save artists, companies, businesses around the world. But because people couldn't comprehend it, it just was too convoluted, and we didn't get the total addressable market to agree with those ideas. So no matter how great the product was, no matter how world-changing it was, we didn't adopt it because of a belief system. So at the end of the day, the total addressable market is one of the biggest factors for your business. Okay, meaning what is the keyword that everybody searches up? In short. Nextly, we have the SMART Insights framework. It says success in the digital domain demands strategic planning, smart goal setting with smart KPIs, and investment in content, media, and user experience. Again, this is kind of vague, but I'll kind of break this down. This is basically what they call like funnel thinking, meaning top of the funnel is your greater, I'll say your why. Who are you trying to attract? Why are you trying to attract that psychographic or demographic? What is the mission? What is the nation? What is the thing that glues all those people together? What's the commonality? So that's the biggest pool of people. Like, for example, if this were America, I would say, hey, we're all Americans. That means we're targeting at least 300 million people at the top of this funnel, we'll call it. Now, the next step, if I'm running for president, for example, I need to get the majority of those 300 million people. So now I'm thinking, what is a commonality that stretches those big groups of people? What glues them together? Not only being American, okay, but what else is there? We have religion, we have skin tone and race, and we have belief systems. Let's just say religion. So now I'm going to target the Christian group. So I go, America has 300 million people. Okay, let's say there's 100 million Christians in America. So now we're going smaller, but the pie is still big. So that's what they mean by reach. How many people can we potentially get in front of if I were to get in front of literally everybody with this commonality, this common trait? Now, acting is when you guys create businesses and products and services. So this would be, how do I serve those 100 million Christians? Do I sell Bibles? Do I have Bible study? Do I teach them? Do I have events for Christians? Do we do, what is the thing that I provide to the Christian community? Music, entertainment? What is that specific thing? So that would be your action. So let's say I provide Christian concerts for Christians around the US. Now, the thing is, again, we started with 300 million Americans, then you narrow it down to 100 million Christians, and then I'm taking action on the Christian concerts. But let's say not every Christian wants to go to a concert. So there's 100 million Christians. Let's say 10 million want to even go to concerts. So now that's 1/10 of those 100 million people that we're targeting. And so we're going to take action on those specific groups of people, meaning the Christians who want to go to a concert. Now we have to go even deeper. Not every Christian wants to go to a hip hop, what is it called? Like a Christian hip hop concert. So let's say there's only 1 million of people that want to go to a Christian hip hop concert. So we went from 300 million Americans. We narrowed it down and said, okay, we want to target the 100 million Christians. That's our total addressable market. Then we narrowed it down even further and we said the Christians who want to go to concerts, right? That was 10 million. And then we said that only 1 million would be interested in a Christian hip hop concert. So now I'm narrowing and niching down, it's called. So we went from the broad total addressable market to niching down into smaller pieces to deliver a product and a service more consistently. And this is where you build your base. This is going back to the first horizon in the McKinsey's 3 horizons. This is where you focus on building products and services. You convert those people at this stage. Okay, so there's 1 million people who want to be in the Christian hip hop circle. We're trying to convert all 1 million of those people. And then we need to keep their attention to convert the next, rung of people. So engaging people is just keeping them around over time so that they convince their friends and they come back to concerts. So that's the whole thing. You start with 300 million people in America, 300 million Americans. What segments Americans? Religion, race, and all those core things I talked about. Let's say we have 100 million Christians. Okay, that's our total addressable market. Then we take action and we say, okay, we want to target the Christians who want to go to concerts. So let's say that's 10 million. And then we want to convert out of those 10 million, the 1 million that want to see Christian hip hop. Okay, so that's 1 million out of the 100 million that we started with. So that's 1%. Okay, we're trying to convert the 1%. And now that we've converted those Christian hip hop fan lovers or hip hop concert lovers, then we're going to try to keep them around to come back to the next concert and to tell their friend. So now the 1 turns into 2, 2 turns into 4, 4 turns into 8, et cetera, until we get to the total 1 million people who are in that specific pocket. So that's what the Smart Insights framework is all about, is understanding where to address your energy. If you guys go too broad, you're going to run out of money and you're not going to get enough focus to even get people to follow your pathway for your products and services. And this is another reason why focusing on the second horizon here about trends and things that pop up and kind of die is not a good thing, because there's no fundamental base underneath. So moving forward, we have Porter's 5 forces analysis. This is more of a competitive analysis type thing. So basically you have the threat of new entrants, meaning how easy is it for folks to enter your market. So if you were a beat maker on BeatStars, for example, how easy is it for somebody to make a BeatStars account and put up just as many beats as you with the same exact keywords? Pretty easy. It's free. So that means that that's an infinite threat of new entrants. Okay, if you were to take that specific pathway. Nextly is bargaining power of suppliers, because most of you guys don't deal with suppliers, but if this were like the beat making community, a supplier would be a loop maker. Okay, a loop maker sends their loops over to a producer. They transform the product and they put it out into a product, And then the customer is either somebody who buys the beat or buys whatever they're turning that thing into. So the power of suppliers is, can you really negotiate with the loop makers? Are there a million loop makers who can't wait to give you loops? Or are there a few good loop makers who know they're good and don't give their loops out to everybody? So it depends on the bargaining power. I would say currently there are a lot of loop makers, but it doesn't mean every loop maker is great. So I would say the bargaining power is almost like 50-50. If you were a beat maker, I'm talking about. Okay, so nextly we have the bargaining power of the buyers. So this is where I would say that the leverage is not in the buyer's hands, because the loop makers don't have to give you their loops on beat. If you're building a BeatStars, they don't have to give you their loops. They can send their loops off to a Boy Wonder, to a Major 7, or to a whoever that's more established. So for that reason, bargaining power of the buyers is not really that great unless you have a lot of money to pay out some loop makers. Threats of substitutes. This is a high threat. Again, in general, with music production, with so much technology that we have nowadays, anybody can copy anything, especially with AI and all the techniques that we show you. You can pretty much copy anything. So it's not the product that separates producers, it's the personal brand. And most people are not working on their personal brand, and they don't have leverage as a buyer or a supplier. And that's what I'm trying to teach you guys, is how to avoid competition, build a personal brand so that you don't have to deal with all this competitive stuff. Rivalry among existing competitors, basically how many people are on the platform competing for the same keyword. And I know people say, yeah, be collaborative with your competitors, but the problem with that is if you're on BeatStars where the average transaction value is $26, you could have 20 producers on a track. If you split $20 20 ways, you only get $1 per track sold. You're going to have to sell a lot of tracks a year, 200,000 tracks a year to reach these levels you guys are trying to reach. And that's a lot of people. Okay, 200,000 people is a ton of people. That's and buyers at that. So multiply that times 100, because if you convert 1%, let's say multiply that times 100, you need to talk to, what is that? 20 million people a year. That's a lot of people. Okay. So this model analyzes the competitive environment of a business. The Porter's 5 forces analysis says, again, supplier power. I already went over those concepts. Next, we have something that again ties into the SMART Insights framework. This is called the total addressable market, the serviceable addressable market, and the serviceable obtainable market. Meaning, if you guys were dating, the total addressable market is all the girls in the world. Okay. Is it realistic that you're going to be talking to every person in the world? It would take you more than your lifetime to even do that. If there's 8 billion people in the world and the population is 50-50, that means there's 4 billion women in the world. To talk to 4 billion women for at least an hour is going to equal more time than your lifetime. So that's impossible. So then you have to dig into who can you actually talk to in real life, the serviceable available market, meaning not only is there 4 billion women in the world, who's actually single, who's actually in your environment, okay, and who actually is willing to talk to you. So that's a smaller pocket of people. So this is the serviceable available market. So this could have a group. I watch a lot of Love Island. So this could be the group that you think you could reach. They call it punching. Okay. When a guy's going above his weight class, basically, trying to get people he can't really date in real life on the show Love Island. So the serviceable available market is the people you think you can reach, even though you don't have the skills, the talking skills, the character, and all the things that attract people. And then we have what's called the serviceable obtainable market. These are the people who are in reach, who believe that you're valuable, who are of the bunch of what we just talked about. So that would be people that are actually obtainable, goals that are reachable. And then we have the early evangelists, and these would be people who are already fans of you, okay, who want to support. So think of it, if this were Jesus, for example, he started the opposite way. He started with the evangelist and went to the total addressable market. He started with the one believer and then converted more disciples, and they were called evangelists because they believed in the vision. Okay, so if I were one person, the 1 turns into 2, 2 turns into 4, 4 turns into 8, 8 turns into 16, 16 to 32, 32 to 64, 64 to 128, 128 to, I don't even know the math on that. What, 256? I'm doing that math right? Don't give me the counting. And so when you're starting, all you guys have is yourself and the people that your power base. Okay, so you got to find those early evangelists either for your product, your vision for the product, and vision for the company. You got to get people excited. But what most producers don't do is they get excited in the beginning down here with these early evangelists, and they never think about, okay, what's my total addressable market? How many potential people are in this market? Because that business will have a cap based on how many people are in the market. So let's just say I'm the one person who's excited to make a bakery, and I got my cousin who wants to help me with the bakery. So it's me and my cousin working in the bakery. He's the evangelist. Now, my serviceable, obtainable market is the people in the neighborhood and the people that we've already known from school. So, okay, it's 1,000 people here, 1,000 people in our neighborhood, 1,000 people we know from school, and 1,000 people in our neighborhood. So we go around leaving flyers at everybody's front door to advertise our bakery. And I tell everybody at school on the Facebooks or whatever people use nowadays to talk to the people they went to school with. Okay, so now those 2,000 people, those are the serviceable, obtainable market, meaning these are the people in our awareness. Then we have what's called the serviceable, available market, meaning not only do we have people that we went to school with, 1,000 of those people, we also have 1,000 of the neighborhood people that we know, but also too, our county has 100,000 people in it. So technically, we can get everybody in the county to drive 20 minutes to our bakery. So that would be a serviceable, available market. Everybody in this great region, let's say a 50-mile radius, how many people are in that 50-mile radius? 50 miles is kind of long, so let's just say 20-mile radius. How many people are in that 20-mile radius? Let's say it goes from us knowing that serviceable, obtainable market of 2,000 people. Now we've expanded it to 200,000 people. Let's say we're in like a state that doesn't have a lot of populace. Let's say we have now a serviceable, available market of 200,000 potential people to come to our bakery. So that doesn't mean that's all the people in the world that would want our product. So now we figured out a way to box the product, get it distributed to different suppliers and places like Walmart, other retailers and grocery stores. Let's say we can now have our license to put it in a refrigerated section because we did all the pasteurizing and all that. So let's say we did all these things and now we can be distributed across the greater USA, where now our total addressable market, how many people actually like cake products? Let's say 100 million people. So now we went from the evangelist, me and my cousin, let's say, who wanted to start this bakery. The serviceable, obtainable market is the 2,000 people, the 1,000 people we knew from school, and the 1,000 people in our nearby neighborhood that we've met and interacted with. So now those are 2,000 initial customers. And now we want to expand a little bit. So we start advertising to the county, figuring out ways to talk to the entire 20-mile radius, whether through radio, whether through influencers, whether through business collaborations, live events, festivals, whatever the thing is. Okay, now we're expanding to 200,000 potential customers. And then, but this costs a lot of money too. So it's cost advertising money, whether you have new employees to go do that, a street team, whatever your thing is to grow your business, that costs money. So as we grow to these bigger pockets and markets, it costs more and more money. So to immediately start talking to the total addressable market, which is everybody in the USA, let's say about 100 million people want to buy baked goods. To talk to that many people, we have to pay distributors to be in their stores. Don't think the distributors are picking up your product for free. You have to pay them. You have to pay for position in the grocery stores. You have to pay for advertising on TV and different methods on social media, influencers and all this stuff. But now we're in front of 100 million people. So this is called scaling up. But what most people don't understand is that when you're starting your business, if you don't understand how big it can get, you will constantly think that it's a you problem, but it's really a market problem. So if the market were really small, let's say we made really niche products. Let's say it was a bakery that sold like rotted mildew cakes that only 1% of the world actually liked because it was so bizarre. But now the total addressable market is only 10,000. No matter how widespread I go in the USA, there's only 10,000 people who want that specific thing. So scaling up is going to cost me more than I get in return from the 10,000 people in the United States. And that's why social media is so powerful now, because scaling up is a little bit easier, but it still costs a lot of money. So hopefully you guys understand the concept of understanding. You got to understand how big the market is first and then work in reverse. But at the end of the day, it starts with you and the people who believe in your vision to expand out toward total addressable market. So again, that understanding is really helpful, along with this kind of funnel thinking, very helpful. Nextly, we have Ohmae's 3 C's. So Ohmae's 3 C's is kind of vague, but basically it says, in applying Ohmae's 3 C's, a business might leverage its strong R&D capabilities, aka product development. So if I were a sound design company, this is my ability to make serum patches, my ability to sample, my ability to sound design, et cetera, et cetera. And what innovative technology do we have to do that? And then it says strong R&D capabilities from the company to develop innovative products that meet emerging customer preferences. So again, I could sound design the greatest wow, wobbles and wubs and all that. But if dubstep is not in the main limelight, then we're not going to have a big customer base. Okay, so this kind of goes back to the total addressable market concept, which is understanding what do the customers really want what can we learn about and be innovative about, but what do the customers actually want? So now there's a crossover. Okay, it goes back to the innovation adoption curve. I could innovate all day long with my sound design, make all these futuristic sounds, but if nobody wants those sounds, if those sounds aren't popular because the top artists in the world are using these sounds, then I'm way above the curve, way ahead of the curve, and we have less customers for that specific thing. Okay, and then we have the competitors. Again, who's going to take away from that customer base? So this is pretty straightforward. Kind of vague though, so it's not really going to help much as a beginner. The ultimate goal and game is to just avoid competition. And lastly, we have the GE-McKinsey 9-box matrix. So I believe it's I always mix up the letters. It's BKG, if I'm not mistaken, is a consultation group. I might be confused on those letters. And the McKinsey is also a business consultation company who basically teaches the leaders of companies how to run their company. Like, they have so much expertise, it's insane. Okay, so the GE-McKinsey 9-box matrix, this is more for people who are building businesses to sell and understand that their business's job is to gather rare assets so that it raises the value of the assets, and then they can sell that investment vehicle. This is for more advanced people, again, who are building businesses to sell. But here in short, it says industry attractiveness is on the left, and then competitive strength of business unit is at the bottom. So it goes back to when I talked about that garden. In the bottom right, it says the harvest and divest. So this is for companies that, red means bad, by the way. So basically a low value company and a low industry attractive company is a company that, and a company that can't compete is a company that makes $100, consumes the 100 for the lifestyle. Makes 200, consumes the 200, never leaves enough seeds to plant back into the business. That's in short what that means. And then we have the medium level, which is like, okay, they can still compete. And then we have, what does this say? Competitive strength of business unit is medium. So let's say the product is getting better and we are starting to have what's called selective earnings. So in this case, we have, for every $100 that we make in the business, we save 50% of that. Okay, or that's pretty strong. Let's say we save 20% of that for this level. Okay, and we have it as reserve capital, meaning just money on the side that we don't touch for anything. We just use it either as emergency or to invest in big opportunities for the business. Okay, so that's called selective earnings. And then that would raise the industry attractiveness if you were to attract investors or outside, if the company were to ever IPO. But again, most people watching this video are not going to IPO a company. Not that you guys are dumb or anything. It's just that's not your intent for what you're doing. Then we have a high competitive product. So let's say you guys built the next minimal audio and you have the next current product. Current is a synthesizer. And let's say it competes with Serum. So now you have an awesome product that is super awesome, has great sounds. And then you start off by saving that 20%. So every $100 you guys make, you put 20 aside and never touch it. Okay. And then let's say you are a little bit more aggressive with the profits that you guys make. So you take the $100 that you make and you put 50 away. And you take the 50, you take 30% of the 50 and invest that into advertising so that you could take your dollar and make it 4 into 16 into 32, and all the numbers that I talked about before. And that's, the companies, I'm not trying to get into investing, but the companies that have the most attractive, price for earnings and all this different stuff, it's companies who invest the money that they earn right back into the business because they're trying to turn the dollar into 4. The only way to do that is because their business is the way to do that. If this were the stock market, you invest $100 and you get a 12% return every year, that's only 12%. But if I can use the business to invest the $100 and make it 400, that's a 4x return on investment. I would do that 1 million times over until it stops working. And that's what high investment, high growth is all about. So that's for more advanced companies. But the mindset to take away from that last one, how many seeds are you eating from your garden? If you plant 10 seeds, you might get 5 plants. Every seed does not turn into a plant. So you might attempt to do a lot of stuff. It doesn't mean it's going to work. So you put your 10 seeds into your garden, you get 5 plants, 5 products and 5 results. That's your reward. You take those 5 plants. Now, do you harvest the seeds from the plants or do you just eat all the plants and now you have no more seeds to put back into your garden? So now you got to start from square one, go working for another farm, get seeds from the other farm, bring it back. So you constantly have to keep doing that if you guys don't reinvest those seeds back into your garden to grow. Okay, so that's the takeaway. My favorite ones, though, total addressable market, that concept, and also the smart insights framework. Everything else, this is more so like what to focus on in your business, the McKinsey's 3 horizons. A lot of people, again, they get distracted by niches and new things and the hot new thing. And I can tell you guys, if you don't have a foundation, the trend only lasts but so long because you have what's called the innovation adoption curve. So a trend, in short, has an edge, meaning a competitive advantage, until the masses get to it. Okay, so your competitive advantage for a trend is to be either an early adopter or an innovator who created the trend. You either create the trend, you're early to a trend, or you're behind the curve, basically. And most people, by the time a trend becomes popular, it's too late. So there's no high growth mechanism in a trend, and then it will die out. It literally, the forwardness of that trend is to die out because there's no higher peak. All right, so we're getting into the weeds here. But if you guys want to learn more, go to busyworksbeats.com/premium, and I'll train you guys on how to sell, how to grow your online business, whether that's to sell packs, whether that's to teach, whether that's to sell music online. Okay, you can build the online business structure to do that. Whatever your goal is online, I teach you guys that. So go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. Subscribe if you're new. Share with a friend. Like this video. Peace.